the huge areas of the world that have never been looked at by archaeology at all. Or if looked at by archaeology, looked at only minimally.
Beneath the waves, silent cities wait, forgotten by time. These underwater ghost towns hold secrets of a past life, now hidden deep in the ocean's embrace. Once bustling with laughter and life, they now rest in quiet solitude, their stories etched into the walls that water surrounds. Haunted underwater city in the U.S. Underneath the calm surface of Lake Lanier, there are stories of towns forgotten. It's like a paradise, but with strange mysteries. Sometimes beauty mixes with a past that feels uneasy. There are whispers of ghosts in the air, telling tales of things that happened long ago. Looking back in time, Lake Lanier didn't start as a lake. Back in the early 1950s, the government decided it needed a big water reservoir to control floods and make electricity. So, they made Lake Lanier. But making something new often means losing something old. In this case, it was the towns of Oscarville and Looper Speedway, along with lots of farmland. More than 700 families had to leave their homes. It was sad to see places where people lived and worked disappear underwater. Imagine this: schools, churches, racetracks, stores, cemeteries, and big forests with tall trees, all under the water. These were once part of busy communities. Even though we can't see them anymore, they're still there, like ghosts of the past. You can see the shapes of old houses, cars left behind, and other things people forgot about. They're like a graveyard underwater, giving Lake Lanier a spooky atmosphere. Lake Lanier has seen a lot of scary things happen. Instead of being calm, it's often filled with accidents, drownings, and deaths that don't make sense. Every year, more lives are lost there than in other lakes like it. People swimming suddenly disappear under the water, boats get lost in the fog, and cars end up sinking with no one inside. Some people are found, but others never are. It's like the lake swallows them up, and they're never seen again. Some survivors have called for help, telling terrifying stories. One person felt like something invisible was pulling them down under the water. Others talk about strong currents that come out of nowhere. People who drive on the lake say they feel scared, like something is watching them from the water. All these creepy events make Lake Lanier a spooky place. They mix with its dark history, making it even scarier. Some people wonder if the ghosts of the old towns that got flooded are causing all these bad things to happen. Lake Lanier has become a place where scary stories about ghosts and strange things happening are everywhere. One of the scariest stories is about the Lady of the Lake. It happened in the late 1950s, when the lake was new. Delia Young and Susie Roberts were going to town one night, but never made it back home. They disappeared, and even though their car was missing too, nobody could find them. Investigators found marks on the road that went over the lake, but that was all they found. As weeks turned into months, and then years, people lost hope of finding their two friends alive. Eventually, they thought Delia Young and Susie Roberts must be dead, but the story takes a dark turn years later. A fisherman found something awful: a woman's body, decomposed, without hands, and missing 2 toes. She wore a blue dress. Nobody knew who she was, so they buried her in a grave without a name nearby. Jump to the 1990s. A construction crew dredging the lake found an old car from 1954. Inside was a body. Investigators found things that proved it was Susie Roberts, one of the missing friends. This discovery made people look again into what happened to the 2 women. They figured out the other body, the one without hands, was Delia Young. It was a spooky end to their story, adding another sad chapter to the lake's history. People say a ghost now wanders the lake. They say she wears a blue dress and has no hands. People have seen her at night, near the bridge where the 2 friends disappeared. Some say the lake didn't just drown buildings and farmlands, but disturbed the resting place of those buried there. Maybe that's why there are ghosts. In 2015, a local man named Robert had a scary experience. He was swimming in the lake when he felt something grab his ankle, pulling him down. He fought to get free, feeling like he was losing strength. Finally, He got away, but he never swam in the lake again, haunted by what happened. Lake Lanier is beautiful, but its eerie stories make it spooky. Even though many people visit every year for fun, they also hear the whispers of the past. Some even say they've seen ghosts in pictures and videos. Locals know the lake's history and legends, but still live near it, adding to the mystery. Is there something supernatural in Lake Lanier? That question adds to its unique charm. Quiet Tale of Villa Epecuen. Long ago, in Argentina, there was a town called Villa Epecuen. This town was special because it had a lake with very salty water that could make people feel better. Many people visited Villa Epecuen to swim in its lake and enjoy the town. At its height, Villa Epecuen could accommodate at least 5,000 visitors. But one day in 1985, after a big storm, the water from the lake rose up and covered the whole town. Everything was underwater for a long time, and nobody could see the town. After many years, the water went down, and the town could be seen again. But it was empty and quiet. The houses and streets were there, but no one lived in them anymore. The town looked like a ghost town because it was so quiet and nobody was around. Some people say that when you walk in the town now, it feels like the people who used to live there are still around, even though you can't see them. It's a bit spooky, but also interesting to see and think about the town's story. On 6 November 1985, something rare happened with the weather. It made a big wave called a seishi that broke a dam near the village. Then, the wave also broke the wall that protected the village from water. The water kept rising slowly until it reached a very high point of 10 meters, 33 feet. The village became impossible to live in, and no one ever built it again. Now, many of the old buildings are covered with a layer of white and gray salt. Back in the day, Epecuen was a busy place. It had around 280 different kinds of businesses, like hotels and shops. About 25,000 tourists would visit between November and March every year from the 1950s to the 1970s. At its busiest time, the town had 1,500 people living there. But in 2011, there was only one person left. His name was Pablo Novak, born in 1930. He came back to his home in 2009 when the water went away after 25 years. Now, Epecuen is like an underground ghost town, hidden beneath the water. The old buildings stand silently, covered in salt, telling the story of a town lost to the waves. The documentary Pablo's Villa, made in 2013, tells the haunting tale of the town and its last resident, Pablo Novak. The wet weather later reversed, and the waters began to recede in 2009. AFP photographer Juan Mabromata recently visited the ruins of Villa Epecuen, met its sole inhabitant, and returned with these images. Tennessee's underwater ghost towns. During World War II, when the United States needed to ramp up production of materials and products for the war effort, it faced a significant challenge. The existing methods of manufacturing weren't sufficient to meet the demands of wartime production. Large industrial companies, such as the Aluminum Company of America, relied on their own power sources, like hydroelectricity and steam plants, to support their manufacturing processes. However, these methods were not sustainable for the rapid production of materials needed for the war. To address this issue, the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, embarked on a massive project to harness the power of the region's rivers. This initiative involved the construction of several major dams, including Douglas, Fontana, and Cherokee, which impounded several key rivers that ultimately formed the Tennessee River. These dams created vast reservoirs of water, resulting in significant flooding of surrounding areas. As a consequence of this flooding, numerous homesteads, towns, and historical sites were lost. The government employed various tactics, including eminent domain, to acquire the land needed for these projects. Some property owners were compensated and willingly left their homes, while others were forced to relocate when the rising waters reached their doorsteps. For instance, Claudia Myers was among those affected. She resided in the community of Bridgeport in Hawkins County and owned 52 acres of land, which included a house and a barn. Eventually, she received a payment equivalent to $330,000 in today's money for her property. Although her land was submerged, the foundation of her barn remains visible to this day when the water levels recede during the winter. Another significant town impacted by these developments was Bean Station, originally settled in 1775. It boasted various amenities, such as a large tavern, train station, and post office. However, the construction of Cherokee Dam led to the submersion of Bean Station and the loss of its rich historical heritage. Nowadays, as the sun sets over the tranquil waters of the lakes where Bean Station, Old Butler, and Liston once stood, whispers of the past linger in the air. Locals gather around campfires, swapping tales of the towns that lie beneath the surface, their forms barely visible in the mist that hangs low over the water. They say these specters wander along the shoreline, their faces obscured by the fog, as if searching for something lost in the depths below. Others tell of nights filled with strange sounds echoing from beneath the waves, like whispers carried on the wind. They say it's as if the towns themselves are trying to communicate from their watery graves, sharing stories of days gone by with anyone who will listen. These stories, passed down through generations, add a sense of mystery and wonder to the once thriving towns, keeping their memories alive in the hearts and minds of those who dare to explore their submerged depths. What do you think about this? Let us know down in the comment sections, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this channel for more videos.